right, welcome. Today we are going to dive into one single, really profound idea that could completely change how you deal with emotional pain. Now, it's a challenging concept for sure, but it's also one that has the power to put you right back in the driver's seat of your own inner world. So, let's just start with a super direct question. When you feel hurt or you're upset or angry, where do you think that pain is really coming from? Just take a second and think about the last time you were upset. What or who was the cause? You know, if you're like most of us, your mind probably jumped straight to something on the outside. We tend to think things like, he made me so angry, or this whole situation is just so frustrating, or what she said, man, that really hurt me. It's totally natural, almost an automatic reflex to look outside ourselves for the source of our suffering. And this habit, it even has a name. We'll call it the blame game. So in this first section, we're going to try to uncover the true source of our feelings and ask a really important question. What if there's another way to see all this? Okay, so here we have two completely opposite ways of looking at the world. The common belief, the one most of us live by, is that the world happens to us, that other people and events have this power to cause us pain. But the source material for today's explainer offers up a radical truth. Nothing on the outside has that power. The only thing that can truly actually hurt us is our own mind. This right here is the core teaching we're exploring. I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. I mean, that is a massive claim. Just think about what that really means. The person who cut you off in traffic, that critical comment from a coworker, the unexpected bill in the mail. This idea suggests that none of them are the true source of your stress. So what does accepting this radical truth actually mean for us? Well, it leads to a whole new perspective on personal power, one that shifts our focus from trying to control the world outside of us to mastering the world inside of us. This whole idea can be summed up in two words: mental sovereignty. It's this understanding that both our peace and our pain, they come from our own mind. It doesn't deny reality, bad stuff happens, but it declares that we have the ultimate authority, the sovereignty over our internal response to it all. And just think about what this means for you. If you're not blaming others anymore, then you're taking responsibility for your own feelings, and that's incredibly empowering because it means you have a choice in how you respond. You're no longer just a victim of circumstances. This lets you consciously shift from a reactive state of fear or anger to a chosen state of peace or love. Ultimately, your internal world is what colors your entire experience of everything. Okay, so let's move this from just some abstract theory to our actual reality. How does embracing this power of perception really change things in our day-to-day lives? We've all been here. A disagreement with a friend, a partner, a family member. It's the perfect scenario to see this idea in action. So instead of that default reaction, what you said really hurt me, this new perspective invites you to just pause for a second. It asks you to look inward and ask, what am I telling myself about their words? Am I interpreting them in the absolute worst way? Am I attaching some old wounds to this new situation? The suffering so often comes from our own internal commentary, not the words themselves. You know, the blame game isn't just for other people. We often play it with our past selves. We look back at mistakes we've made and use them as proof for why we're not good enough today. And here again, the shift is just so powerful. The past event is over, it's done, it's a fact. But the pain you're feeling isn't coming from the memory of that event. It's coming from the active, present moment thoughts of self-judgment like, I'm not good enough or I always mess things up. Realizing this lets you separate the event from the story you tell yourself about it, and that opens the door to self-compassion. Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we actually do this? Let's get really practical and see how to apply this lesson when you're right in the thick of an emotional storm. The source material gives us two simple but really powerful exercises to start with. The first one is awareness. So the next time you feel that flash of anger or hurt, just pause. Ask yourself one question. What specific thought is causing this feeling right now? The goal isn't to judge it, it's just to see it clearly. The second exercise is affirmation, where we use the core idea as a mental tool. This phrase becomes your tool. When you feel triggered, just repeat it to yourself. It acts like a little circuit breaker, interrupting that automatic blame reaction and reminding you where your true power lies. So we've unpacked the idea, we've seen how it applies, and we've looked at how to practice it. Now it all comes back to you. This whole thing is about putting the power to feel peaceful, to feel okay, firmly back into your own hands. So, we're going to leave you with this challenge. The question isn't if you can change your perception, but how. I want you to think of a recent painful experience. Can you shift your focus away from the external event and just get curious about the thoughts you were thinking, the story you were telling yourself? Answering that question for yourself, well, that's your first step toward true mental freedom.